Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. I hope all of you healthy and happy. So before we start the actual class, we need to reflect on the nature of samsara. The samsara here referred to the physical body, which is caused by ignorance. Then the rest of the afflictive emotion, then the karma. So according to Buddha's teaching, so we really have been in cycle in the samsara, having all kinds of problems due to having the physical body, which is the dukkha. Dukkha means is caused by ignorance. The ignorance cause to arise all the afflictive emotions. All the every emotion cause to accumulate impure karma. Doesn't matter if positive or negative karma, all the karmas cause to have this physical body. Therefore, everybody just reflect on this physical body which is I have since I was born until I'm died. After my death, after I died, then I will take another samsaric body, also caused by ignorance. Ignorance arises rest of the afflict emotions, and the afflict emotion cause to accumulate merit. Then again, we start another life, having all kinds of problems, particularly aging and death and separation. After that, we take another, life, whatever, the higher realms or lower realms. Still, we possess the dukkha. After that, we'll take another life. Then we go cyclic existence. Means it's just going around without break the change. Therefore, please everybody try to understand the truth of suffering, which is the physical body caused by ignorance, rest of the emotions, and the karma. Second, we need to reflect on our own dukkha, our own physical body. When we reflect on the outer feature of our body, there's nothing, none of the parts of our body can be very pure, very perfect. when we reflect, inward, internal our body, we just reflect, on our brain. There's a billions of particles with the nerves, blood, certain kind of the wind energy. The whole part of the brain is really moving, is vibrating. When you open the brain, also you can see all kinds of the nasty thing there. When we reflect with the inner of our face, you can see there's bones, flesh, blood. Again, all kinds of impurities are there. So when we reflect, around our chest and abdomen, there's a more ugliness is there. The lungs, the heart, the liver, kidneys, all the abdomen area is a very unhealthy, very impure. So we reflect below our abdomen, all the legs, you can see a piece of bone, blood, the bone marrow. Actually, whole our body is, one piece of skeleton. They just cover by the skin. It is not just ugly and impure, but this body is the basis to possess. This body is the basis to have all the sufferings. Please meditate on the truth nature of the truth suffering, which is the physical body, which is the contaminated body. Next, we reflect our physical body only for 24 hours. When we woke up early morning, you just think about our face. It's very dry, looks so tired. Suddenly we need to wash the face and whole parts of body. If you don't wash, we don't take a shower, our body is completely very smelly. After we clean the body, we can just only clean the outer of the body. We cannot clean the inner of our body. After we clean the body, then we need drink and food to sustain the body. Then all the drinks and food actually cause to decay, to cause to have all kinds of disease and sickness. If we don't take food and drink, this physical body cannot sustain more than 1 week or 2 weeks. When the food and drink we consume Just imagine you are having a nice food and nice drink, and you chewing in your mouth. Suddenly you take out, it's so ugly, even though you can't see yourself. But we consider it so delicious. When you consume in the stomach, the digest, segregates the liquids and the gross parts. Then all the liquids part become blood. They slowly become urine, become very smelly. All the gross parts is become human waste, very smelly. So we have this kind of, we possessed this kind of body. Not only this life. In previous, we possessed billions of time this body. If you don't cut, don't break the change, ignorance, emotion, karma, and the physical body, then that the change between the body and the karma is continually goes another, we don't know how long. Then afternoon, we need another drink and food. Also afternoon still, we need to take another shower. Then the clothes we wear is become, old within a few years or within a few days, few weeks, then we have to buy another clothes to cover this ugly body. Then also when we're sick, so we need to take all kinds of medicine. All the medicines help us to reduce the suffering for temporarily, cannot reduce forever. Because the physical body is the source of sickness, source of disease, which is the basis for all kinds of suffering. Therefore, we wish to abandon. We wish to stop having this kinds of physical body. Then how can we really stop to having this uncontaminated body or not? Then the answer is here, yes, look like we can stop to having this physical body. So when we possess, pure, healthy for, whatever, healthy for forever, then we should think. So I want to stop possess this kind of, body, which is the basis of suffering. I really wish to have healthy and pure forever. Then you wish to achieve the cessation, cease the uncontaminated physical body. In order to cease this physical body, we need to cease the actual cause to have this physical body, which is all the karmas. In order to stop the contaminated karma, the unwholesome karma, so we need to stop the cause to arise the unwholesome karma, which is all the afflictive emotions, like anger, hatred, jealousy, ego, attachment. So in order to cease all these afflictive emotions, we need to cease the actual root of all the negative thoughts. If we give a opportunity to arise anger, hatred, then we engage into one of the non-virtuous action, like a killing. If we give opportunity to the attachment, desire, let them arise, then we engage into one of the negative action, which is stealing, lying, so and so. Therefore, now we must think, I really want to seize the root of the karma, the root of the rest of the emotions, the root of the samsara, the root of the suffering, which is the innate ignorance. Here we need to remember from the Rice Ceiling Sutra, whoever sees the dependent origination. Whoever sees the Dharma, whoever sees the dependent origination, they can see the Dharma. Whoever sees the Dharma, they can see the Buddha. If we realize, the dependent origination, everything is arising because of depend on causes and condition. Then we will see the Dharma, which is emptiness, selflessness. When we see, then there's a chance to see the Buddha. Means when we think, can I be Buddha or not? Then we can say, yes, I can be Buddha. Any sentient beings can be a Buddha. How? First, we need to realize the dependent origination. Then we realize the Dharma, the actual path to achieve liberation, Buddhahood. Yes, when we think, can I be Buddha or not? Then we can say we can. Then next actually, now you are not just thinking, I want to be Buddha. Now you are very serious about going to be a Buddha. Then how? Then we need to realize dependent origination. Based on realizing dependent origination, then we will realize the selflessness or emptiness. So when we realize, after realizing dependent origination and emptiness, then we need to meditate on emptiness. So when we meditate on emptiness, then the rest of the negative thoughts or afflictive emotions going to stop to arise continuously. Then we're going to stop, engage into the contaminated karmas. Then we will cease, we will stop to have this physical body. Then we already achieve liberation. Then we can be a Buddha. Right? Therefore, all of you, I said at the beginning of the class, so now all of you are no more beginners. You are already, became intermediate practitioner, intermediate students, because you have enough kind of understanding and knowledge how to do meditation, how to control our negative thoughts. When we control our negative thoughts, particularly anger, hatred, jealousy, immediately we feel peace. We can experience the inner peace and happiness. When we have a more inner peace and happiness, then our physical body becomes more healthy. When we have a lot of destructive emotion within ourselves, we have a lot of anger, hatred, jealousy, ego, then all the healthy food, all the exercisings, gyms, taking the vitamins, none of them can help to have a healthy body. Therefore, all of you have the enough knowledge, enough understanding how to control our own negative thoughts, negative minds. Also, so we know nobody needs introduction how all the negative thoughts are bad. Nobody needs introduction. When you get angry, you feel very, kind of annoying. You feel yourself annoying. Also, you are annoying others. When we have a strong attachment towards our own body, attachment towards our belongings, our mind is always, wondering about your body, your belongings, your family and friends. Therefore, your mind cannot be rest, cannot be in peace. It's always wandering around you, your family, your belongings, your name and family, everything. Therefore, actually, we don't need any introduction to introduce the negative thoughts are bad. It's also not enough to say, so we have to experience. Let's say, some of you are very short-tempered, very angry person. Since you are a very angry person, suddenly you got the knowledge, you have the idea how to control your anger and hatred. You only control for one day. For the one day, you feel is very peace, calm, happy. When you become very calm and happy person, the person who live around you, your children, your relatives, your families, they also feel peace and calm and happiness. Right? Therefore, we will start the actual class from the page number 5, the stanza number 26. So all the negative thoughts, all the the sufferings we have actually is caused by this physical body. Then how we possessed this physical body? I said this. I'm not saying all the physical body are contaminated. Our physical body is contaminated. How we possess, how we did possess in the past, how we will possess in the futures. Then the stanza number 26. I am not, I will not be. Not only the physical body we have, we possess because of the karma. We have all kinds of karma because of all the afflictive emotions. We have all kinds of emotion because we have the ignorance, particularly the ignorance about I and mine. So until today, we have the concept I, which is the I is kind of independent I. Therefore, I am not. I can say me, Yonten. I am not independent Yonten. I am not independent I. But we think I'm independent I, independent Yonten. So everybody said, I am not independent, whatever your name. I am not independent such as. I not independent. I won't be, I will not be, mean in the future also, I won't be independent. I won't be independent. Also, you can say, I wasn't in the past, I wasn't independent being. In the present moment, I am not independent being. In the future, I won't be an independent being, independent I. There's no such as independent I. But we believe for billions of years, I and me is always independent, existent. I am not, I will not be. So I am, I myself, my I not independent. Then how the independent can possess my thing? Because the independent I itself is not exist. Then things cannot be belong to the independent I. Therefore, I have no. The independent I have nothing. None of the thing can be possessed the independent I. I have not something I will not. In the future, nothing can be possessed the independent I. Thing cannot be possessed things cannot be belongs to the independent I, because independent I itself does not exist. I have not, I will not have. Then that fattens all childish, and extinguish fear in the wise. So when we think, I am not independent, I won't be independent, nothing possessed to the independent I, nothing will possess to the independent I, then we feel a bit scared. Then you look like I'm not exist. Here we have a very confusion, serious confusion. Me, an independent me. I and independent I. When we negate the independent I, for us look like we negate the I. When we negate the big things, no more, no, not belongs to the independent I. At the same time, we think nothing belongs to me. So we have a confusion between I, independent I, mind, and independent mind. Therefore, we feel, scared, frightening all the child. And extinguish fear, the wise. If you are very wise, intelligent, you can differentiate the independent I and I. Independent mind and mind. If you are intelligent, if you are a very wise man, you don't have the fear, because you can understand the differences between I and independent I. The childish, who are not intelligent, for them, I and independent I, mind and independent mind are same. Therefore, when we negate the independent I, then the childish, the not wise men feel scared, threatenings. Clear? If you clear the first, the slide number 26, then we can move 27, because step by step we have to move. Let's say, I can just guess all of you quite okay. Then stanza number 27. This is the point, grasping on independent I, grasping on independent mind is the root of the sufferings, root of the samsara. Therefore, when Buddha, thinking how I can really help those the wandering, sentient beings, how I can help, how I can really do something for them. Here, I think most of you going to remember one time when His Holiness Dalai Lama gave a teaching about realizing emptiness of I, emptiness of mind. That he give the analogy. For example, you are, edge or out of the ocean, out of the ocean. And you had seen, you are seeing one person is really, drowning in the ocean. The person cannot swim. Mean the person is confused how to overcome the problems. Confused. He doesn't have the knowledge. But next to him, there's a piece of wood, piece of flat wood. But he was so frightened, he was so scared, he cannot see there's a piece of wood next to him. But he was screaming, saying, help me, help me. Then that time you are looking, you are seeing the person is drowning, sinking deep of the ocean. He was screaming you to give a help, give a hand, but you cannot reach there. But you can see there's a wood. Then what kind of thoughts you should have? I really wish the person can touch, can get the support, from the wood. That means this is kind of compassion. So Buddha was, for example, Buddha was wondering that all sentient beings in samsara, all sentient beings equally, whether you are a Buddhist, non-Buddhist, whether you believe in karma or not believe in karma, whether you believe in next life and not next life, doesn't matter. Equally, all sentient beings has a problem. They don't know how to overcome problem. Then the Buddha realized, oh, if they realize the emptiness, selflessness of I and me, then they can be free from suffering. For example, the person who are sinking, drowning in the ocean, if he able to touch the wood, piece of wood, definitely he can be saved. Can be saved. Therefore, the next sentence, 27, by him, by Buddha, him, who speaks only to have been, it was said that all beings have arisen from the conception of I and are enveloped with the conception of mind. Then all beings who are wandering in samsara actually caused by the concept of independent I, concept of independent mind. Due to this true conception, due to this true misunderstanding about I and mind, that we are totally, enveloped, totally close in the samsara. Mean we wish to overcome, but we are totally, our hands and legs are totally tied with the ignorance of I and mind. Then strongly, extra strongly tied by attachment and anger. By him, he speak only to have beings. It was said that all beings have arisen from where? From the conception, make sure the conception of I, and are, mean all beings are enveloped with the conception of mind. I and mine, me and mine. Therefore, the concept of I and mine is so strong. It has a deep rooted. So we are deeply rooted by these two eyes. Somebody, make you little praise. Wow, you are so intelligent. You are so good. You look so beautiful. Certainly, because they praise you, man, your eye, you feel happy. Then somebody, criticize, somebody give you negative judgment. Suddenly, you get angry because it is hurt your eye. You think I am good. I am one of the best. Somebody criticize, the criticizing, hurt you. Then me hurt I. Then somebody praise about your belongings. Wow, you have such a nice car. You have such a nice space. You have such a nice family. You feel very happy. They praise about your belongings, then your mind, mind is feel happy. That's when somebody criticize about negative judgment about your belongings. Is hurt I, which is possess the things as mine. Now you can see the I. This, due to this I and mine, then, for example, you are so hungry. You don't have money. You don't have a food. You don't have a drink. You're so hungry. Then in order to satisfy the I, a hungry I, then we engage into negative action, stealing, also, robbing this thing. Therefore, Buddha taught, only I can give, best help all sentient beings, let them realize the actual root of the samsara. Therefore, he said here, it was said that all beings have arisen from the conception of I and are enveloped with the conception of mind. Not just enough to read this sentence. Since today you need to think about it. You need to reflect on I and mind. The next one, 28. Then, okay, what happened? Then all the sufferings and problems arise, from the conception of I and mind. That means, is the I exists or not? How is a wrong perception about I? Then the next sentence, the I exist, the mind exists, they are wrong as ultimates. You never say I exist, right? The means the independent I exist, the independent mind exists, they are wrong. If you're thinking independent me exists, independent mind exists, if you have this kind of idea or thoughts, that means you are wrong. You are mistaken about your own I and mind. Therefore, he said they are wrong as ultimate. Ultimate not referred to ultimate truth or not. That means it's wrong in the reality. It's wrong in the reality. These are wrong as it's actually wrong. Saying actually wrong. Ultimates. For the true are not established by the through conception of reality just as it is. If the independent I exists, then dependent exists cannot be exist. If the independent mind exists, then dependent I cannot be exist. One phenomena cannot be independent and dependent. If the thing is independent, then the thing cannot be independent, because dependent and independent are contradict each other. For example, I say, for me, if I say this cup is independent cup, that means this cup cannot be dependent cup. If the cup is dependent cup, then this cup cannot be independent. We cannot say this I can be both independent and dependent. Therefore, for the two are not established. These two cannot be established. If you establish independent I, you cannot establish dependent I. If you establish dependent I, you cannot establish independent I. Therefore, the two are not established through the consciousness of reality just as it is. How? Because through the study, through the investigation, you will realize the I is independent I. Through the study, you will realize the I is dependent I, not independent I. That means the independent I, the independent mind cannot be established. Because through reasonings and logic, we will realize the I and my are actually dependent I and mind. Right? Okay, next one. So until here, 26, 27, 28. Okay, now everybody just reflect on your own I. How you, I, is exist. First, everybody, think I or I am is I an independent person. Independent person. Then, are you independent person? Everybody say, yes, I am independent person. Independent person. If you or I'm not referring to me, when you think I am I, if I am or I, independent person, then I must be found within the all five aggregates. It's independent, there must be, you can find the solid, the single I, singleness I. So when we analyze, you analyze, where's the independent I? Is in my brain, in my head, around my throat, around my chest, inside the chest. No, when you open the chest, you can see first the lungs, then the heart, then the liver, the kidneys. All we cannot see their independent I. Then you should think, okay, I am not independent. If I am not independent, none of the things belongs to independent me, independent I. Therefore, after studying about how the I exists, how I am exists, who I am, then yes, I am not really independent. I cannot found the independent I and me. Then, is I exist or not? Is my mind exist or not? The answer is yes, I exist. Me exists. Mind exists. It exists only dependent on the five aggregates. Therefore, stanza number 28 is wrong. The 29, the mental and physical aggregates arise from the conception of I, which is false in fact. How could what is grown from the false seeds of truth? Not me or I depends on the five aggregates. The five aggregates also depend on I. How? First, there's a concept of I and mind. Based on the concept of independent I and mind, then all the affect emotion arise. Then we accumulate karma. Then we died. The next life, we will possess the 5 aggregates. Then the 5 aggregates we're going to possess actually is caused or arised by ignorance. That means we're talking about cause and effect. When we say the I is dependent on 5 aggregates, it's talking about the simultaneous existence. This moment, when they say me, I am black, I am white, I am fatty, I am skinny, I am slim, we are talking about based on the physical body. That time, the I, which is depend on the physical body, are simultaneously existent. Therefore, you need to have a true idea. I arise, the 5 aggregates and mental, physical and mental aggregates mean cause and effect. When you think I am depend on 5 aggregates, you are talking about the simultaneously dependent on each other. The mental and physical aggregates arise from whom? Arise from the conception of I, right? Then, which is false in fact. Because the I, the independent I is false. If you have a concept or idea of independent I, then the independent I is no exist. It's a totally falsy phenomenon. Then they really cannot arise the 5 aggregates which is independent from the conception of I, which is false. In fact, in the reality, the concept of independent I is false. False. How could what is growing? How could be the 5 aggregate is a truly existent? Because the seeds, which is I, is false. The false seeds cannot produce the the truth existent result. Therefore, here the mental and physical aggregates arise. Within the 5 aggregates, the form is the physical. Then 3 are consciousness, mind. The one has 2 parts. From the mental and physical aggregates arise from the conception of I, which is false in fact. How could what is growing from a false seed be a truth? The independent I is false. Then how the independent concept of independent can arise the truly existent 5 aggregates? Cannot. For example, he's saying the easy way, the seed is very unhealthy seeds. How unhealthy seeds can produce the healthy fruits? Cannot. Therefore, the concept of I is false. Now, how they can produce the truly existent 5 aggregates? Cannot. Then 30, having seen thus the aggregates as untrue. Aggregates are untrue, not truly exist. The conception of I is abandoned. And due to abandoning the conception of I, the aggregates arise no more. Now, as cause and effect, the independent I, the concept of independent I is the seed to produce the untruth 5 aggregates. Having seen thus the aggregates as untruth. Why five aggregates are untruth, not truly existent? Because the six, which is the conception of I, is false. Therefore, the result is also untrue. And due to abandoning the conception of I, when you realize the dependent I, you're going to abandon the independent I. Make sure you should not confuse. When we realize independent, when we realize that independent I is false, then opposite is dependent I. When we realize the dependent I, then we abandon, we stop to accept the independent I, which is the falsy concept. When we stop the falsy, the conception, which is the independent I, then we will stop to having the five aggregates. Having seen thus the aggregates as untruth, the conception of I is abandoned. And due to abandoning the conception of I, the aggregates arise no more. So now you can see it's very important to understand the connection between, the relation between the independent concept of independent I, then all the afflictive emotion arise, then the karmas arise, then five aggregates arise. So we need to know the five aggregates are untruth, is false. Why? The cause which is produced the five aggregates, the cause itself is false, which is the concept of independent I. So when we abandon the concept of independent I, then we stop to having the five aggregates. Then we are free from the suffering, which is the physical body. Then here, make sure you need to know the true different kind of, you must have a true different idea. When it says the eyes arise, the five aggregate is talking about cause and effect. Second, when you see the kind of, stanza, I established based on five aggregates, then the five aggregates and the I, which is established based on five aggregates, are simultaneously existent, coexistent. It's not talking about cause and effect. We're talking about, what we call input, the input phenomena. Having seen thus the aggregates as untruth, the conception of I is abandoned. And due to abandoning the conception of I, then aggregates arise no more. Therefore, having seen the aggregates are untruth, then the conception of I is abandoned. Because the I is dependent on the five aggregates. The five aggregates are untruth. Then how we can say the I which is established based on the five aggregates is truly existent? Cannot. Simply saying the five aggregates are untruth, therefore the I's which established on the five aggregates also untruth. Mean the I which is established on five aggregates is, the I is not independent I. It is dependent I. When you realize the dependent I, then you stop to have the wrong perception about I, then all the affective emotion going to stop, then karma stop, then then there's no more anymore this five aggregates possessed for us. Then 31, just as it is said. Now the analogy. So before we study about the analogy, first we need to know five aggregates and I. The five aggregates are untruth phenomena. Therefore, the I's, which is established based on five aggregates, also untruth. That means I, me, are not independent phenomena. I and me is independent, not independent, it's dependent. Dependent on five aggregates. Five aggregates and me. Then the five aggregates look like mirror. The I is look like the image in the mirror. Just as it is said that an image of one face in scene dependent on mirror, but does not really exist as a face. Now, face and mirror. When we see our face, our own face in the mirror, first we look like, we can say, oh, my face is there. Right? My face is there. But when you analyze, oh, it looks like that is my face. When you analyze, it's exactly same me, but the image is not me. I am not the image. The image appears, just depends on the mirror. Therefore, when we reflect on our own I, my I or me, let's say me and my I, my mind, me, look like I am very independent I. When I analyze, actually I am established based on the five aggregates. If there's no five aggregates, I cannot be there. For example, when I look in the mirror, I can see my face. It looks like real my face. When I analyze, actually the face which appears in the mirror is not me. Me is not the image in the mirror. When I analyze, the dependent I is me. I am not dependent I. So next you need to know the analogy, which is mirror. Just as it is said that an image of one face in seen depending on the mirror, but does not really exist as face. Now here you need to remember two faces. The one face actually in the mirror. One face is actually here. Right? So when you analyze that your face in the mirror is your face or not? Yes, and everybody know the face in the mirror is not my face. Then we cannot say I don't have a face. We cannot say I have a face, but before I was mistaken my actual face in the face in the mirror. After I analyzed, then I realized the face in the mirror is not my face. And actually my face is not the face which is in the mirror, is totally two separate kind of faces. Likewise, when we analyze I, then we realize, previous I believe I am, independent I have an independent I have an independent mind. After I analyze, then I notice that the independent I have the concept independent I is not actually not I, not actually me. Me also not actually the independent me and I. Then I realize me, the independent me and dependent me are totally separate. After I realize there's not, independent I, it doesn't mean there's no dependent I. Like a face in the mirror, the actual face. Make sure, because you have to move step by step. If you don't understand the previous, you don't understand the, the next one, mirror. Just as it is said that an image of one face is seen depending on the mirror, but does not, still can appear, still can see, but does not really exist as a face. So now again it's coming back to the actual point. So the conception of I exists dependent on aggregates, but like image of one face. Now, so the conception of I means the actual I, which is the dependent I. So the conception of I, which is the dependent I, exists. How exists? Exists on the aggregates, but like image of one face. The dependent I exists depends on 5 aggregates, like image of the mirror, image and the mirror, but like image of one face. Image of our face appearing in the mirror merely depending on the mirror. If there's no mirror, then there's no image of the face. Likewise, me, I, exist only depending on 5 aggregates. Without any of the 5 aggregates, I cannot establish, I cannot exist. That means, always remember, when you say I am just, exist merely depending on the 5 aggregates, like mirror, the face in the mirror. I do not at all really exist. Therefore, based on the analogy mirror and face, mirror and the image of the face is dependent each other. If there's no face, even though there's a mirror, the face cannot appear to the mirror. If there's a face, if there's no mirror, the face cannot appear to the mirror. That means you can see the face and the mirror is dependent. Image of the face and the mirror are dependent. Therefore, there's no such as independent image. Independent image in the mirror. Right? Therefore, here the I do not at all really exist. Therefore, there's such as no independent I exists. That means now, this, and based on this analogy, we're going to realize until now, I have the idea, I have the concept, I, me are, independent. After I study, now I realize I and me not really exist independently, merely exist dependently. Then 33, more clear. Just as without depending on mirror, the image of one face is not seen. Just as without depending on the mirror, on a mirror, the image of one's face is not seen. So too, the conception of I does not exist without depending on the aggregates. Once more, just as without depending on a mirror, the image of one's face is not seen. So too, the conception of I do not exist without depending on the aggregates. 34, when the superior Ananda heard what this meant, he attained the eyes of doctrine and repeatedly spoke to the monastic. So when Ananda heard the dependent origination, particularly I and me, exist merely dependent on 5 aggregates. Then Ananda, he realized, he attained the eyes, the wisdom eyes. He attained the wisdom eyes of the Dharma, doctrine means Dharma. And repeatedly, they spoke to the, his Dharma friend monks and nuns. Is it that now you can remember in the intermediate, the person who eyes with the person who the single person who has the eyes, they can lead Brahman or group to the desirable destination. Therefore, before Ananda, he didn't understand how the I exists. Through the Buddha teaching, one day he realized the merely designated I. Then he repeatedly, he taught, shared with his Dharma friends, monastic. Repeatedly spoke of it, which is a dependent origination to the monastic. Then 35 is you heard many times from His Holiness Dalai Lama, also from other masters. Now please remember, I and 5 aggregates has a 2 different kind of connection. One, the concept of I, mean the mistaken concept of I is the root to arise attachment, anger, jealousy, all the rest of emotions, then karma, then we possess the 5 aggregates. Then the 5 aggregates which we possess are untrue. Because the actual cause, which is the concept of independent I, is false. He's talking about cause and effect. Then next we talk about mirror and the face. Then how actually I exist? The I exists, mind exists, merely depend on 5 aggregates. The simultaneously dependent. Without mirror, there cannot be face. When the face appears in the mirror, because of the mirror, I exist because of the 5 aggregates. Without 5 aggregates, I cannot be exist. Now here talking about 2 kinds of I. One is the false, one is truth. The concept of independent I is false. Okay, I think there's electric problem due to the thunder. Okay. Repeatedly spoke to it to the monastic. The 35 is very useful. Of course, all words are useful, particularly this 35 is very important. As long as aggregates are conceived, so long thereby does the conception of I exist. Further, when the conception of I exists, there's an action and form, it also a birth. As long as aggregates are conceived, right? As long as you have the concept or idea, belief, my five aggregates are, truly exist. My five aggregates are inherently exist. My five aggregates are independently exist. Then the second, as long as thereby does the concept of I exist. Now you can see the connection. If you believe your five aggregates independent, then the I's which is established based on the five aggregates also always there. Independent I. Then what happened next? Further, when the conception of I exists, there's an action, and from it, there also a birth. There's action, and from it, there also a birth. What does it mean? If you believe, for example, the mirror, which is caused to have the image of your face, if you believe the mirror is truly exist, then the face which appears to in the mirror must be truly exist. So far the mirror itself is not truly exist, then the image also which appears to in the mirror is not truly existent. Likewise, me and mine, I, exist depend on the five aggregates. If you believe my five aggregates are truly existent, my five aggregates are truly existent, then automatically you have the concept, me also truly exist. Then second, if you believe me and my are truly exist, then there's a action. Then we engage into negative actions. Then we continuously born in samsara. Now here not saying five aggregates are not exist. Five aggregates are exist, but not truly exist. Five aggregates are exist, not inherently. I exist depends on the five aggregates, but the I and me are not exist independently because the basis, which is the five aggregates, also not truly exist. Then you can see that if you have the wrong idea about five aggregates, then you will have the wrong idea of I. When you have a wrong idea about I, then there's the good chance to arouse all the negative thoughts, then action, then again samsara. This point, what we need to learn, we need to learn how to break the change between ignorance, karma, emotions, then samsara. Therefore, we need to break. If we break the only karma, We cannot actually break only the karma. We stop karma today, the karma will arise tomorrow. Therefore, we need to break the ignorance. We need to cut the ignorance. Then there's no, like afflict emotions. Then there's no karma. Then there's no birth. Then no aging. And then no death. Also, there's no more in the five aggregates. Then there are no more the contaminated body. That means we are free from suffering. We are free from samsara. As long as aggregates are conceived, as long as aggregates are independently, conceived, then so long thereby do the conception of independent I exist. Further, when the conception of independent I exists, then there's an action. And from the action, there's also birth. When these three pathway mutually causing each other. What are the three pathway? Conception of independent I with all the afflict emotions, part number one. Part number two is action. Part number three is like a birth or samsara or suffering. These three, ignorance, action, and birth, born in samsara, is a three pathway. With these three pathways mutually causing each other. Mutually means you can see that ignorance causes karma. Karma causes birth. Birth, when we have a rebirth, we have a five aggregates. The five aggregates also cause to arise the conception of I. Again, the conception of I cause the karma and birth. It's literally just going round, going round. With these three pathways mutually causing each other without a beginning, a middle, or an end. This wheel of cyclic existence turns like the wheel of a firebrand. So when you think about these three, you cannot say this is first, this is second, this is third. It's just kind of round, like change the round kind of thing. You cannot say this is center, this is beginning, this is end. Like if I hold the joystick in fire, just around, you can see the circle. It's going, so you can see the circle. You cannot see this is a beginning, this end. When I stop, you can see, oh, this fire is the actual cause to have in the wheel of the fire. Remember the three parts. Also remember the three parts mutually causing each other without a beginning, without a middle, without or an end. The wheel of cyclic existence turns like the wheel of firebrand. Because of this wheel is not obtained from the self, other, or from the both. In the past, in the present, or the future, the conception of I is overcome and thereby action and rebirth. This will is not obtaining from self. Now, the independent I is the the kind of the actual fire. Then there's a cycle of the firebrand. When we analyze the independent I, selfly existent I, the selfhood I, then neither when you analyze based on you cannot find the independent I. When you analyze based on other, also you cannot find there's independent I. When you analyze, based on both you and other, also you cannot find there's independent I. Also, the independent I not exist now, won't exist in the future, and it didn't exist in the past. He's saying here, because this will is not obtaining from self, other, from both. In the past, present, or the future, the conception of I is overcome. Mean, if you're able to understand, the mistaken conception of I, which is a independent I, then you will understand there's no such as independent I. Then nothing belongs to independent I. Then the rest of the negative thoughts going to stop arising. Then no more action. Then no more samsara. Thereby action and rebirth. The conception of I overcome, then be able to overcome from the action. When we able to overcome from the action, then we will overcome from the rebirth. That's because we actually break the exchange, the change between the three parts. One who sees how cause and effect are produced and destroyed does not regard the world as really existent or really not existent. This one, so since this one we will discuss next. From the stanza number 38, so we will discuss on next what? Sunday. Okay, we can have a few minutes. Can we have a Q&A? Anybody has a question related to this topic? It's fine.
Yes, Geshe, there's questions.
Mm-hmm.
Does the understanding of emptiness or non-self depend on first merit, second study and contemplation, or three clearing obstacles? Didn't Lama Tsongkhapa complete prostration, confession, and mandala offerings to gain wisdom?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Yeah. Does the understanding of emptiness or non-self depending on merit, study and contemplation, and clearing obstacles? Didn't Lama Tsongkhapa complete prostration, confession, and mandala offering to gain wisdom?
Okay, this one, we cannot say 100% for, same for everybody. Sometimes, it depends on individual. Somebody don't understand the emptiness, no selfhood. Because if you think, you feel, because I don't have enough merit, I need to accumulate merit, then yes, you must do a lot of prostration, mandala offering. Sometimes, if you feel I don't understand the emptiness or no self, also no self should not have a mistake in it. No self means no independent self. Self exists, I exist. No independent self. If you think I don't understand the concept of emptiness, because I don't think I'm quite enough, I'm enough intelligent. And for them, you need to do a lot of analysis, analytical meditation. Yes, she's asking a question related to Lama Tsongkhapa. Because Lama Tsongkhapa was contemplating on emptiness for many years. One day he saw between him and the Nagarjuna, between him and Nagarjuna, between there's one kind of curtain. between there's a curtain. He cannot see very clearly Nagarjuna. Then he asked this question to his teacher, Lama Umaba. Lama Umaba can, directly have a conversation with Manjushri. Then Manjushri said, yes, there's a, obstacle or obscuration for you to realizing the emptiness. You do the three practice unanimously. They mean accumulate merit, purifying the negative karma. Therefore, he did, mandala offering for accumulating merit. He did, 100,000, more than 100,000 prostration. He did two together, accumulating merit, purifying negative karma. And also, some of you don't know how he did mandala offering. He didn't have golden, silver, diamond, wooden mandala. He offered mandala on the piece of rock. He tried to find stable rock that he can use as a basis of mandala. So he just used a big piece of rock as a mandala. He did a lot of offering mandala. The whole part of this part is shared. Also, when he did prostration, he didn't have the prostration, the wooden thing. He just did prostration on the ground. Every day, the ground has become very flat. Yes, depends on you. Then, so many of us receiving, have been receiving teaching, received teaching from His Holiness Dalai Lama. Whether you consider him as your guru or not is totally up to you. I'm not forcing you must. But he said many times, for him, the analytical meditation is a more, get more benefits than the recitation, chanting, and prostration. I mean, when you analyze, when you do a lot of analytical meditation, your mind becomes very, sharp, very clear. Also, you learn, how to take action very quickly and fastly. So, if you think I'm not enough intelligent, do more analytical meditation. If you think I'm intelligent, I can understand everything, but I don't understand the emptiness, then you do, some sort of prostration and mandala offering, accumulating merit. It's not same for everybody. It's, individually need to do different kind of practice. Next question.
Yeah. Geshe-la, do Buddha has intention?
Of course. Yes, definitely Buddha has intention. Intention means like a motivation, intention. Yes, Buddha does intention. But he doesn't have the, the conceptual intention. Yeah. Because Buddha have a compassion, Buddha always, wants to benefit all sentient beings. His intention. Why did you ask this question?
Hi, Rachel. Would you like to elaborate?
Why did you ask this question?
Hi, Geshe-la. Good morning. Thank you for answering my question. I asked this question is because I wish to understand, because if in the discussion of karma, right, if intention is karma, so does it follows that Buddha has karma? That's my reason for asking this question.
Okay,
yeah, thank you.
Intention is not really directly we can translate as a karma. When you say kram, the actual Sanskrit term is kram. Kram means action or act. Then when Tibetan, pronounce the kram or kam, then we say karma. Actually, these two words must come on together. Kram, no karma. Karma means action. Action. The action followed by the intention. Your intention is positive, your action is positive. Your intention is negative, your action is negative. And also when you study about the Abhidharma, there's two types of mentioned karma. One is the mental action, mental action and action. So make sure you double check, the intention directly translates into karma. Some days say karma, some days say action, some days say volition. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Next question, please.
The next question comes from the Chinese channel.
早上好。
早上好，葛西师傅，声音听清楚吗
OK，
可以。
早上好。
早上好。
今天葛西师傅说的，如我就是说有点深奥，所以我就有个问题，就是说，因为五蕴我的理解是五蕴就是形成一个身体吧，然后身体就是形成就是一个我字，然后我字所升起的烦恼，也就是说是于它的所造成2业和3业。但是我是想知道，我字和我所字它有什么区别啊
Okay. Without giving you a lot of explanation. For example, when we say I, everybody think I am a human. When you think I am a human, I need a food. That time, that moment, there's a I. When you say, I want a food, that time there's I. This we say, this I. I. Then second, what does mean mine? Then say, this is my book. Right? This is my book. That time there's another I. It's still I, but we name mine. This is my book. When you say this is my book, that time there's I. The I we name mine, because the I possess this book. The I possess the book. The book is the possession. The book possessed to the I. This I we say mine. Actually, both is I, but depend on, without possess anything. I'm a human, I'm a human, I'm a man, I'm a woman. That time, there's a I, we say I. When the I possess something, that moment the I change, into possessed thing. This is the mind. Clear? Tinda Doma? Clear? Then, if you really study a lot of, the Madhyamaka books, then some masters say, I is, kind of the non-physical. Mind is not referred to the I which is possessed. They refer to mind in the belongings. So when you read, Lama Tsongkhapa book, all the book about the Madhyamaka, it's very clear. I, mind, both is actually I. But the I is not possess anything. They say, I am a human. I am hungry. I am thirsty. I need water. Water is mine. Food is mine. That time we name mine. Please, read this book, few lines, reflect on the meaning, really try to understand the meaning of, I and me, independent I, dependent I, and also try to understand the connection, between 5 aggregates and I and 5 aggregates. So thank you so much. Have a good Sunday. Thank you.